So you and I have a podcast called Sibling Horror.
Yeah.
And it's funny, someone in the coffee shop today just said that they've read it. And I'm like, did I give it to you? Because that's the only way people buy our book is if I like hand it to them and ask them to please read it.
Totally. So. Well, there's 3 people in this town who said,
Really?
oh, you write those stories with Matt. And I'm like, cool. People actually listen.
I'm known for horror.
Yeah.
Instead of my brilliant music that I've been putting all this time and effort into.
Can I please give a side quest of that? About being known for something. David likes picking up animals, as I've told you.
Yeah.
Last year he picked up this huge carpet snake in the middle of the road.
Saw that.
Yeah. It got like 1 million views on Instagram.
Really?
And he's like, friggin' hell, like
That's how I'm known.
like my art and music account, and what I'm known for is like picking up this snake.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's so funny.
Horror.
Yeah, so, okay. Make a quick defense of horror to those who are thinking you're satanic right now.
I actually would love to hear yours, because I don't think it's wrong to be entertained by horror, but I don't have a great worded argument as to why. I will say that I think I prefer the term like strange fiction than horror.
Yeah.
Because a lot of horror that is out there in the world is trash, and you should not watch it. It's full of too much gore, too much sex.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay to be entertained by something that isn't necessarily good. And you see that in every genre, you know, in action, in drama, there's always like an evil or an obstacle or something.
Yeah.
And I think if all the horror I watched, or not, I guess I listened to it more than watch it, if it all ended in like just and everyone died or like evil won, I wouldn't listen to it. The majority of horror I listen to is, you know, knife point horror, where the person telling the story survives and he's changed because of it and he's grown or X, Y, Z.
Yeah. I love that you just said Z. Hold on to that. Don't let them make you say Z.
Yeah. So I don't know. What's your defense? Do you have a good...
I would begin by saying there is perhaps no other genre so filled with trash.
Agree.
Like there's no other legitimate genre. Obviously there are illegitimate genres like porn, but like there is no other, and maybe I'm kind of begging the question by assuming it's legitimate, but there's no other legitimate genre that's so filled with junk. I grant that. And yet, like what is horror? Like what does that word mean? It's like, well, it's horror, or what is the genre? So whether it's stories or movies, it's something that evokes a strong feeling of fear or disgust or, I don't know, something else.
And that in itself sounds bad, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, like, The Passion of the Christ did that for me.
Totally.
Do you know?
Yeah.
And then there's like, okay, maybe it's a stretch to say that there were elements of The Passion of the Christ that were horror. But I don't know, like that Satan carrying the baby.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty scary.
Yeah, right.
But then I think, so I would say something like this. I don't know, I haven't thought about this argument for a while, but it would be something like, if horror is intrinsically evil, and by that I mean the genre is never permissible to read, like it's always immoral. All right, so if horror is intrinsically evil, then... And then you would just fill in the blank of a horror movie that you know isn't intrinsically evil, right? So if horror is intrinsically evil, then A Quiet Place or Hansel and Gretel or some other legitimate scary film or book is evil.
Right.
But A Quiet Place isn't intrinsically evil. Therefore, horror isn't always evil.
Yeah.
Do you know? Like something like that. Because like I know people might think I'm like choosing a tame example when I say Hansel and Gretel. That's actually a terrifying story.
Cooking children.
Yeah, you have an old woman who makes her house out of candy to bait children, fatten them up, and kill them.
Yeah, right.
That's really scary.
And doesn't Chesterton say like fairy tales don't exist to show that there's good and evil. Like children know that there's good and evil, but it's to show them that evil can be conquerable.
Yeah.
He said it in better words, but
Right. He always does say everything in better words. I agree. But yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yes, no, I actually really, so, okay. Yeah, so I think for me, I grew up, I really liked X-Files.
same.
And it was the same thing. It was this like, I liked strangeness and mystery. Like it would just grip me. And it would almost like put me in touch with some other like, okay, the world's bigger than I think it is. The horizon is wider than I thought it was. Like there's more to reality. It's stranger than I first suspected. Something like that. But what about you? When did you? Because I also watched a ton of horror films as a teenager that I wish I hadn't watched.
Agree. And that was kind of my experience growing up. Just I watched a lot of trashy horror. But I did really love the Goosebump books growing up.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something that it's probably nostalgic for me. It's kind of stuck with me. But obviously when I converted and became Christian, a lot of things changed. What I watched, the games I played, the music I listened to definitely changed. And it's very hard to find horror now that's digestible.
It's hard to find almost any genre that's digestible, like espionage or like, I don't know, thriller or detective movies. Like they're all filled with
I just
sex
assume
and
new
crap.
movies.
Yeah.
I don't have the time to sort through them.
I know what you mean. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like and subscribe.